Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas.
Hi, I'm Sal Cosenza.
And welcome to Abstract Essay. Abstract Essay is created to empower artists like us. Don't you
Yes,
think?
and artists like Rudy Mendoza, who's kind enough to join us today. Thank you for
Yeah.
being here, Rudy.
Yes.
So, quick bio. Well, it's not quick. Rudy's life is extensive, so we
Yes.
must give it its due. But Rudy is the founder of Ru Art Studio here in Phoenix. It hosts paint and sip classes, this studio, but it also serves as a venue for private events, right? Any sort of art-based events and organizations. Rudy and Ru Art Studio have created custom art pieces, murals, right? Designs, illustrations, also interiors, custom interior design, furniture restoration, you name it, Rudy does it, which is what's great about Rudy and Ru Art Studio. You know, just to go, I was reading your bio, and your story, I think it's important we share it with the people today, and you've been open about it, right? It's a story of sort of resilience. It's a story of overcoming early obstacles, and then sort of finding your purpose and using art as sort of a medium. But there's a lot of mentors along the way. So I kind of want to get into that too. But by age 12, Rudy was drawing Camaros, right? You were drawing Lamborghinis. You had this fascination with car culture at an early age. He moved on to do murals, large scale murals for large powerful clients, right? Well-known clients in the Valley and beyond, including Daniel, the producers of the show Fear Factor,
Wow.
as well as the Arizona Governor's Office. So we got a high roller here with the art world, right?
Yes.
But also, along the way, Rudy and I kind of had this strange, without knowing it, this parallel existence. We both have a what do you call it? Like a shared person, and it is Janet Blum, who is um, well, she was the arts coordinator, the fine arts coordinator in the city of Scottsdale for many years. She was an amazing art teacher for decades. So Rudy was her first art teacher when she moved to Coronado High School, and I was her last student. Sorry, Rudy was her first student, and I was her last student, the last class before they demolished Coronado. So we kind of have this sort of bookend experience with Janet Blum. She was a mentor to you, right? And she was a mentor to me as well. If you want to learn more about Rudy and Ru Arts, go to ruartonline.com. That's RUART online.com. You could follow Rudy and Ru Arts on Instagram. The handle is at ruartonline. That's again RUARTONLINE. Rudy, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks for
Yes.
having me.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So we talked about this idea of overcoming obstacles. You've been open about it, right? You were talking about how in your early childhood, in your education, you weren't doing well in the beginning with grades. But then, I'm curious, what finally got you on the right path? What was that trigger? And then how did people like Miss Blum, and it sounds like I think your mom as well, how did they activate your potential? If we can go back to that period.
So going back in my early days, my grandmother and my grandfather raised me. And
Okay.
so my grandfather passed away when I was about 8 years old. And then I moved with my mom. So it wasn't like the best childhood at a 6 month period, but within that time, my mom had a boyfriend at that time, and they said, let's have a drawing contest. And so I said, well, what do you want to draw? They said, let's draw some cars. Well, this is 1980, I believe 1986, and I had drawn an IROC Z Camaro at a 3-dimensional angle, and they were like, "Wow, that's." And I said, "What? Your cars look horrible." And they said, "I don't think you understand. At that age, you're not supposed to be drawing like that.
Right.
That's amazing." So after that, I ended up moving to California with my aunt and uncle, and my uncle was a draftsman for Lockheed. So I ended up stumbling across some of his drawings in the garage. And so we were in Rancho Cucamonga, and that's where we lived. He worked for Lockheed in Ontario, and of course, he saw that I enjoyed drawing as well, and I didn't realize what a draftsman was until I found those drawings. So there were some things he did teach me about perspective and drawing a box and such. So doing that while I was there, I was in a private school. They had us in a Christian school. It was interesting because we had dividers, so I was forced to be focused.
Right.
So I actually had the highest GPA in the whole school at that moment, and then had trophies and stuff. At the age of 12 is when I had drawn a Lamborghini Countach, and I was put into a nationwide magazine. 13, when I hit 13 years old, my grandmother, my mom had come out and they said, "You want to move back?" And I was in a great neighborhood, going to a private school, getting good grades, but I wanted to move back because I didn't want to see the smog. I wanted to see a blue sky, and I love Arizona. So we moved back. I did half of my sixth grade at Yavapai Elementary, and then I moved on to Supai Middle School.
Which is also my alma mater, by the way. I went to Supai too. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
So Supai had Mrs. Cavalli as an art teacher, who was
I know who she is.
yeah.
Wow, this is insane.
Isn't this funny? In eighth grade, the students vote for the best of, and of course, I wanted to. At the time, I'm like, vote for me for, best looking. Right. No, I actually got best smile and most artistic.
Nice.
So I thought,
wow,
great, I got most artistic. So I go into Coronado, ninth grade now, in Coronado High School. And of course, they take art. I said, wow, this is going to be a breeze. I'm going to enjoy this. Well, this particular teacher was giving me D's and F's. And the students, my peers, they could not understand why. Neither could I. So I decided not to fill out for art the following year. So I had this English class, Mr. Griffin, I believe his name was. And all of a sudden this lady walks in and says, "Can I speak to Rudy Mendoza?" And I said, "Sure." I walk out thinking, wow, did I get in trouble for something? Well, it's Mrs. Blum. She goes, "I'm Janet Blum, and I'm going to be the art teacher next year, but you didn't take art next year. Why?" And she's very serious, and I said, well, I was kind of shy. She goes, "Was it?" And she named the teacher, and I said, yes. And she goes, "You should have got straight A's. Give me a chance, and I will become your teacher for the next 3 years, your art teacher." And so I did. And that was probably the best thing that's ever happened to me. Often I wonder, we're in a crossroads, right? Right there was a crossroads. And if she hadn't done that, where would I be today? After that, it was interesting. After high school, I really did not paint much until 2002. Then I graduated in 97. So 2002, I had a friend that said, "Hey, if I buy you art supplies, can you paint this piece for me?" I said, "Absolutely." So my very first piece on canvas out of high school was a big prison cell. And I painted this prison cell, and they set it up at the Sanctuary nightclub in downtown Scottsdale. And we used it for a photo shoot. I actually ended up it's a really small picture in the 944 magazine. Back in the day, there was a magazine called 944, and there was me in front of this picture.
Yeah, but that's enough to sort of instill, that boosts your encouragement, right? It says that, oh, I'm doing something right? People are noticing. So back to just real quick on Janet Blum, what do you think she was able to tap into that was different from what those other instructors, were doing with you? Like, how did she handle you differently, or how did you two work in a way that made it work?
Well, for one, she didn't see me as a number, as just a person coming in and out. She saw the potential in each of us, and she saw something that maybe others didn't see. Well, she saw our talents on paper, you know.
Yeah.
And often I wonder, like, was she looking through my stuff to realize, hey, I want this guy as a student, you know, that I
Yeah.
never asked her. That'd be interesting to find out. But, obviously a lot of my peers thought I should have gotten straight A's in that class, and so for
Hmm.
whatever reason, maybe that teacher was on his way out, retiring and tired, you know, um, no resentment there, but
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah. Sometimes you just don't gel well with certain instructors, right? I mean,
yeah,
but Janet Blum had that talent for just
she,
sort of being able to tap into our gifts and sort of encourage us to
yeah.
build on that, right?
One
Um,
she has is the ability to um, boost your spirits, right?
Mhm.
To give you to the ability to create confidence in you. And confidence is such a big thing. I remember, and this is after high school, in 2010, I had a booth at Barrett Jackson, showcasing my art, selling my art. And I had printed all these poster prints, and knew I wasn't really seasoned into printing. That's my first time I've ever printed anything. And there were poster prints. I had a friend say, "Oh my gosh, at Barrett Jackson, you could sell posters for $300 a piece." And I
Right.
really like posters, and so I printed
Yeah.
all the posters, and I was showing someone that I knew that worked at a pawn shop. So I walked in, he worked there, and he said, "Bring by your posters, I want to check them out." So I brought him by, and some random guy walks over, looks over my shoulder, and goes, "No thanks." And I said, "Wow, well, I mean, I could paint anything. What would you like?" He goes, "Stuff that looks good." And so,
Oh,
on the contrast and it was just some guy, but you have 100 people that'll tell you, "Hey, your art is fantastic," and one disgruntled guy to say it's bad or it
yeah.
doesn't look good, and it eats you up inside.
Right.
You almost wonder, why am I doing this, right? And so
Right.
the opposite of that is someone like Mrs. Blum, who sees the potential and sees how you could change your court by building you up, as well. It's like a basketball game. You see the basketball game going back and forth, and the team could be pretty equal, right, in the playoffs. But once the one team has that encouragement and that confidence, you see that they take over, and it does the opposite with the other team. It's
Hmm.
almost yin yang effect, so to speak.
Right.
And so it's the same thing with art, and what Miss Blum has done for me, at least, is to give me that confidence that I am worth creating a business, an art business, and I do have the ability to paint, and I do have these gifts as well. Yeah.
Right. And this sort of also goes into our next conversation, which is you being as versatile as you could, right? Like you're not just a painter, right? You do everything. You're a jack of all trades. I call you like a Renaissance guy, right? Was that something that you wanted to do early on as well? Like, did you set out to say, I want to sort of tackle this medium, that medium, all
Oh,
sort of under the umbrella of Rue art, or
right.
did it just sort of happen organically?
It's kind of both.
Hmm.
I grew up Pentecostal. My family was Pentecostal growing up, and so I learned a lot about the Bible, but biblically. You know, um, and there was a lot of interesting things because I see the Bible as an ancient, in an old book, right? That that has a lot of knowledge in it. I don't really look at it as believing in that religion itself, or in religion. I believe there you could get have a good message out of that book. So one of the parables in that book is the gifts, right? If you have a talent,
Hmm.
and if you don't use your talent, you lose it. If you use your talent, you gain more talents. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? And so
You,
I started off by drawing with pencil. That's how I started, and drawing realism with pencil, and then I went into color pencil, and then watercolors, and then I went backwards, and I went into oil paintings before acrylic, believe it or not.
Wow, that's rare.
It is rare, but I also remember um, wanting to be able to ride this bike uphill, and it was a big, heavy beach cruiser. And then when I got onto a road bike, it was much easier because you're training with something harder first, and then
Right.
you get into something that's easier, and then it becomes super easy.
See? And
Yeah.
that's the fearlessness I'm talking about. It's like from the get-go, the second you were sort of given permission to go, right? To like
Yeah.
explore or whatever it is that Janet Blum and others around you tapped into, you sort of didn't stop, right?
Right.
And it sort of has culminated at the moment. This is your latest endeavor, right? Which is the Rue Art Studios. So these paint and wine classes, I mean, there's a bunch of them in the Valley, but I don't know of many where the founder, who's also an accomplished artist, is also leading the class on a day-to-day
Yeah.
basis. So what's that experience like? When did you decide to create a paint and sip concept?
Well, it was probably back in 2012. Just on a Thursday in downtown Scottsdale. There's a place called Art of Merlot, and
Hmm.
I had a fellow friend at the time, artist Lucretia Torva, who was like,
I know Lucretia. Yeah,
"You, yeah, yeah, yeah."
yeah,
And so she was telling me, "Hey, why don't you try this out? There's not a lot of money in it, you know what I mean? But I'm sure it'd be fun for you, So I did, and so I did that for about 6 months, and I enjoyed it. And I thought, well, the lady that owned that wasn't an artist, but I'm an artist, so I thought these are the things that I would probably do a little different if I had my own place. And this was way back when. And so I've always wanted to do own a paint and sip class. And so when it finally happened 3 years ago, I was able to do it the way I like to do it. And I get pretty picky because I'm also in home design. And
hmm
so I do a lot of stuff at houses and stuff, custom things. And so when I come in, I don't just do a little speaker in the corner. I have speakers installed in the walls. I have subwoofers. I have TVs mounted. I do wood flooring, cabinets, and
right.
and make sure it just looks pretty top notch. Just because I like to, have a
Well,
fun
you
place.
surround again, it's your
Yeah,
laboratory, right?
yeah,
It's kind of like
yeah,
your mind in motion.
yes,
Um, and we've got your website pulled up here, so for those who are interested, check out one of these classes. Again, it's instructor led by Rudy himself. Um, Really reasonable rates, by the way. $45 for 2 hours, and you get, I mean, I used to teach these as well at the Brush Bar. Shout out to the Brush Bar as well. It's a really great experience for the instructor and obviously for those coming to the class, right? Like,
yeah,
how many times have you? I'm sure you've had people come in going, I don't know what the hell I'm doing here, and then 2 hours later they're like, oh, I could do this. Let's do it again.
yeah. So
Right.
we offer classes. The $45 classes are pre-sketched actually. So I come in and pre-sketch everything, and then
Nice.
that's the foundation, right? My goal in having this class too is to make sure you're happy with what you take home, so you're not
Hmm.
shoving it in the corner somewhere, or you're not trying to give it away to that friend that you kind of like.
Right.
So we
You're
want to
proud
make
of
sure
it.
that you like and you're proud of. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I have friends that have come here multiple times. I have a friend Keith, wonderful guy, and his wife, and they've actually have a collage, kind of like what's behind me, in their living room of all the paintings that they've done and
Wow.
collected, over the past 3 years. And so it makes me happy that's what I want to see actually.
Yeah.
And and at the end of the day, people that don't think they have the talent but wish they had the talent, when they come to one of these classes, of course I pre-sketch it, but you know what? It makes them feel good about themselves. It makes them feel like they have that talent. there's a
Mhm.
Ratatouille. You ever see that little
Yeah.
cartoon? It says anyone can cook.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Anyone can cook.
I'm
As long
talking
as they're fostered,
about
like you were,
yeah.
right? As long as like somebody is along on their journey in their life at some point to say, it's okay, you could do this, try it out, right? And it sounds like you're extending Miss Blum's lessons, right, in this capacity now, in this
Yeah.
way. And then that's one side of you, right? So you've got the other side of you, which is dealing and working with these sort of powerful, you know, bigwig clients, right? Like the Scottsdale governor's or the Arizona governor's office, Bell Ford, right? So what's some lessons you could share or remember from working with clients like that?
Well, yeah, I have it's fun to share the kind of clients and what clients I've had before, and throughout, um, anywhere from, I got this guy Rico, who's a good friend of mine. He used to fly on Air Force Two with Al Gore. You know,
Wow.
he loves art. Oh man, I love going every year. I go to his house for a Christmas party, and his walls are filled with art. Um, I want to bring you there one day. I'll ask. You'd love it. We anywhere from him to Sammy the Bull Gravano, the former hitman for
Yeah.
you know,
For
and
something that never happened. No.
right, and then music artists. I was once part of the Scottsdale International Auto Museum, and so that's where I met Lupe Fiasco.
Mm.
And Lupe Fiasco, I did a painting for him. 3 days after Carroll Shelby died, he did he built and designed the Shelby cars, the Shelby Cobras and stuff. He bought a Shelby Daytona, and then I had taken a picture of him in front of it, and I painted that. Um, I did a couple paintings for G Unit, which is a 50 Cents
Wow.
group, which is
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
fun. Yeah.
That's
Anyway,
awesome.
all these things, it all started. '09 is when I started RuArt, and so my first card I passed out was to Bell Ford, and so
Hmm.
I passed it out wanting to do their window paintings, and then this guy Steve Crawford had come out and he goes, "You do murals?" I said, "Absolutely." So the first mural I did was at Bell Ford. It was in their conference room, and it was all four walls. And I negotiated a price, and they said, "Well, we want to spend about half of that." I said, "Okay, I'll take away the background detailing." And as I was painting the mural, I said, "Well, I wonder what they got in the back." So I found me an F-150, Ford F-150. So I go back in, and I tell Steve, "Hey, I know you guys didn't pay that much for that. You're probably going to auction that off. How about this? I'll do the rest of the painting for that truck." And he goes, "Sure." So I ended
Mm.
up doing that. And then I took that money and, and then we did some stuff with that, ended up at Barrett Jackson. And that's when I met a
Yeah.
bunch of really seasoned artists. And it was just a pleasure to meet. Scott Jacobs was one of them. I don't know if you've heard of Scott Jacobs. He was on a
No,
secret.
but so Daniel, I don't know. Have you heard of Barrett Jackson? It's like the premier car auction in I think the United States.
It
Hmm.
is in the
Right?
world,
It's
No.
in the
actually.
world,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
and
And
it's right in Scottsdale, Arizona every year.
And fun fact, because I was telling my dad uh, that Horizon High School there's a lot of successful people who come from Horizon. My dad went to Coronado as well.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
nice.
And he says, well, Craig Jackson went to Coronado High School, and so did Dan Harkin.
What?
Yeah, so
Harkins
there's a
Harkins
lot.
Theaters.
Yeah, so there's a lot of fun people that have gone to our high school as well. There's even more, that I could name off. It's just fun to,
Yeah.
step. In it.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like once you get your foot in the door, you start meeting different clients, right? And word of mouth
Yeah.
spreads. But it sounds like in your case, a little bit of compromise, a little bit of back and forth, but it really works, right? So
Yeah.
you've got a background in business as well, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so that's also something that I think every artist should
Should do. Yeah.
should learn or yeah, be more comfortable with.
That's the thing. I would highly recommend, and I do a lot of my artist friends that are younger that
Mhm.
need mentoring. I really recommend them to take a class in business, to learn business, because a lot of times there's two things that happen. You either give your stuff away, or you way overprice it at an astronomical price that it's going to sit for a very long time. And so
Right.
there's some sort of business to this. And friending people like Scott Jacobs and other people that I've met in the industry, you see how they take an art business and they make a living out of it. So
Mm-hmm.
back when we had that little party with Mrs. Blum, we had a
Mm-hmm.
party, and we secretly invited some students like yourself. That's how I met you
Yeah.
at my studio. Um,
It was
I
great. So, Daniel, just to recap, it was for Mrs. Janet Blum's husband, who had passed on. It was sort of a tribute class,
Mm-hmm.
and we, everyone from her
Love.
classes, past and present, right? We all gathered under one roof, and we sort of painted a piece that Rudy led to honor Mr. Blum, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
it was just
absolutely.
a wonderful night. But go ahead, sorry.
One of the best things was meeting you there for sure. Jenny Rochelle,
Yeah.
met her.
Yeah, I met like your I met your classmates.
Yeah, Jenny, I met
Awesome.
there, and then right now I'm doing some stuff for her. She's actually opening up a gallery in North Scottsdale, which is awesome.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, so it's fun to see what Mrs. Blum, like what we're the product of Mrs. Blum. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I mean, I think we're both in the same boat
yeah,
as like
yeah.
mentally, I don't know if I would have done as well without her, right? Like
I,
I think she was fundamental at that period of time in my life and career, in sort of influencing everything that would happen afterwards, right?
absolutely.
I think that's something we could both sort of share. So we're talking with Rudy Mendoza, right? Just to recap, follow Rudy online. Check out Ru Art's website, which is ruartonline.com, and Instagram is at ruartonline. Got a few more questions for you, but Daniel, do you have any you want to throw in there?
Yes, how would your painting change if you started with darkest colors first instead of the lightest?
That's interesting. Um, well, at one point, actually, right before I turn this iPad on, can I spin this around and show you?
Oh yeah,
Sure.
let me stop share. Hold on.
I'm working on a piece now that I went dark up top,
Oh,
Nice.
light,
nice.
and that's just the sky and the mountains. But
Yeah.
That's a stretch canvas?
yep, it's a stretched canvas,
Yeah.
and I've got a Volkswagen bus sketched up, and a couple of a guy and a girl checking out the sunset.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah,
Is this a commission piece or
that's a piece. And then there's another mural at
nice?
the studio, but this piece is not a commission piece. This is this piece, and then I got a piece over here. Sorry,
So
that
where are we now? Are we in your new location? Because you opened a new one, right? 2 months ago?
this is the new location.
And where are you now? Like, where is the new one?
So the new one's 23rd Avenue in the I-17 area. So it's basically just south of Deer Valley in the
Okay.
um, Deer Valley area. So Norterra, we're not far away from Desert Ridge and Arrowhead. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. So Central Phoenix, like anyone in Phoenix would love
yeah.
heading there.
Well,
Congrats on the new location.
thank you. Yeah, it's fun doing what you love to do. For
Yes.
sure. And
Yeah.
then business. But it's interesting. Back to your, going from dark to light. I've never, and this one isn't black, but I've often would paint a canvas black, and then start
Yeah.
painting from dark to light. And so when I
Like this one, right?
perfect example, yes,
Yeah.
that's actually chalkboard paint, and then I clear coated the chalk where the face is. That's why it says you could write here. In that area, you could write, and then the where the Einstein is, I just sprayed clear coat over the chalk so you couldn't erase it.
Right. And
Then,
so what drew you to go dark to light?
well, when you do dark to light, you paint it all dark. Now you just got to paint the light,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's sometimes. In some cases, like this particular piece, if I went light to dark, I think it would be probably not the same outlook. It wouldn't look the same.
Right. Not as moody,
Not as moody, not as
not as
deep.
dramatic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not dramatic. Yeah,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
there's something about it that's kind of like chiaroscuro, like the power of just light as a highlighting agent,
Yes.
right, to create that 3D surface.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go ahead and you do stuff like this too, which is
Yeah,
like totally different mindset.
it
Awesome.
is. Yeah, and that's at the Bread and Honey House. Um, my
It's
friend Javi, he owns about I think 4 restaurants now. Actually 5 or 6. He opened in one location in 2019 and flourished. I did a mural. That was probably the 3rd mural I done for him.
wow,
So yeah, and I got another one coming up. So yeah, and he's a really good, really known chef in the valley. So
nice. Uh, I have a question for you. What advice would you give Rudy Mendoza from 20 years ago? Like
oh,
when you were a kid, what advice would you tell that version of you?
Yes.
well, the advice I would tell myself is maybe to, I guess if I were to do it again, I would stick with my art.
There you go.
I took a break from art for a little bit, and then I probably would have focused more on the business side as well. But I don't. I think also it takes a lot of the struggle to get where you're at today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even the struggle is part of the path of what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
So
Well, again, it's an inspirational story. I think that a lot of people could learn from it.
Yes.
And it's just so great to see where you're at now in your life and career. And I just wish you only the best going forward. And I'm glad to have met you and keep it up.
thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
We'll be looking forward for more success, Mr. Rudy, and thank you so much for being part on Abstract Essay. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Saul?
Yeah, so again, check out ruartonline.com. Follow Rudy's Instagram at ruartonline. Take a class. I have. They were amazing. It's a great experience. You're going to leave with a brand new painting that you created, and you'll get some. They call it, liquid encouragement. No, along the way, right? But it's a really awesome concept, really awesome person behind the concept. So keep going. Thank you for being here today.
Keep up the good work. And Mr. Rudy, would you please invite our listeners to support all your, amazing paintings?
Yes. Anything else we did not mention that you want to talk about? Any updates or announcements?
No, I mean this studio is pretty new, so please visit ruartonline.com. We do have 3 classes a week: Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Friday we have called an open studio, so we give you a blank canvas for $28. Come in, BYOB, Liquid Courage.
Yes.
Whatever you. I also I'm doing themed little paint parties as well, so we're bringing it back to the 90s. So we got a 90s class.
Oh man,
So
I
yeah,
missed that time.
yeah.
Miss all those days.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, again, Mr. Rudy, thank you so much for being part on Abstract Essay, and we are inviting you again to come back and let's talk about all your paintings.
Okay.
Thank you, and have a great class tonight.
I will. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
More to come, people. See you soon.